Hi everyone, ErnieTech here, and welcome to part 6, video 6 of our Music SP Sim 390 explorations, fooling around. It's not really a tutorial, is it? It's more of it's more of exploration. Do you realize that if you've stuck around this far, you're probably one of a handful of people that really has any experience with Music SP outside of the original academic environment? There are very few people, I think. My personal opinion is that they're still using this in any capacity through emulation. I was looking at, I think it was a Groups.io group. Yeah, Groups.io group. Makes a lot of sense. And there was almost no activity on their Music SP subgroup. In fact, I would say there was a whole bunch of people who were just putting in like, hey, is there anybody alive here? Is there anybody responding? Maybe one message a month, if that. So and it's not that it wasn't usable and popular. It's just that it was kind of lost in the sauce. And I'm glad it has a little bit of light of day again. It's a really good operating system, and it's something that I'm really enjoying. It is well done and a very nice environment for people not familiar with how mainframes work. MVS doesn't hold your hand at all, but Music SP certainly does. So if you've stuck around this long, congratulations. I appreciate it. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing next here. So on my website, which you can get to from the main page of my YouTube channel, you're going to see this updated web page, and it's the 3 operating systems that I'm going to be playing with this year in 2025. And we're going to start obviously with Music SP because it is the easiest way to get started in this whole process of mainframe emulation. We'll go over to Michigan Terminal System sometime in the late spring. We won't stay there too terribly long because it's not quite a hand holder. And then eventually we're going to get to the big guy, which is MVS, and that is really going to blow your mind. I mean, that is a bear and a half. But if you have any inclinations to move into IBM mainframe career type of stuff, it's probably a good place to start because ZOS, the big IBM environment, still functions pretty much the same way for the most part, except for the add-ons, additions, and everything else, and different sub-operating systems and virtual machines. It will pretty much work the same way. But for now, let's just stick around to Music SP. What I wanted to do was, first of all, open up a user guide or an overview. And what I did here was make the actual user reference guides easier to figure out. Included with that download that you got from my website to install this thing on your machine, there is a subdirectory that has all the different PDF files in there. And there are 6 user PDF files, but there are a whole bunch of chapters. So there's 10 chapters. And the reason why they did that is because I guess it was easier to put the shorter chapters into one PDF file and then they get progressively more comprehensive. What I want to deal with today, however, is part 3, which is chapter 7, using the editor. So go back over to the web page, click over on the support docs and slides, go up to the user guides, and then open up part 3. And that will let you go over to, well, using the editor, because that's where we're going to be today. Not a whole lot can happen in any kind of environment if you can't put data in and get data out. So we're going to use the editor to some degree. And then we're also going to talk about the tricks, the way in which you get output, printed output from Music SP. There is a little bit of a trick to it, and we'll talk about that in a few seconds. Okay, I have logged in over here in my terminal. This is the terminal that we installed a little while back, the WC3270, not the one that comes with the Sim 390. And one of the main reasons we do that is because we want to have access to this keypad. And what the keypad does is that if you click on it, it gives you a representation of all the keys that you might have seen if you were using a hardware terminal from back in the day. The attention keys and the program function keys, and they may not be available to you on your keyboard easily. They may be available if there is key mapping or if you know the special combination of keys, the Vulcan pinch as it were. But I know on my laptop it's not necessarily easy to figure out where these things are. So using a proper terminal emulator gives you the access to these keys. And these boxes here are also clickable. So if I want to clear the screen, I just click on clear and everything goes away. If I press the enter key, the go prompt comes back. So using the keypad in adjunct to your regular keyboard keys is the way to go to give you the full experience, which is what we're doing here. A couple of things to start off with. A little things to go forward with is the difference between private key or private files and system files. Well, system files are akin to things you might find in DOS that are available to you by the path. So whatever you put in as your path, all the things in the path, all those things that are able to be called upon, like the edit command, like edit exe or edit com, things that are not hard-coded into the DOS kernel, they're available to you no matter where you are. You don't have to be in the same directory as the edit command because it's in the path and the operating system knows where to find it. This is somewhat akin to what's happening here. I am currently logged in as $000, and if I type in dir, it tells me, well, here are all the files available to you. Now, if I'm talking a little bit funny, it's because I have a cold, and I'm just about, I think my Zyrtec is just about ready to end, because I can feel it. So if I sound a little nasally, bear with me. It's the middle of February, and it is cold outside, and, well, anyway, I'm in my office in a sweatshirt, bundled up, with a cup of coffee, obviously, in the Buc-ee's mug. And, well, anyway. So you get to see what you have in your private directory, your private files, that you see when you're logged in as whoever you are. So it's similar to your home directory in Linux or Unix when you log in as whoever you are. But the other files, the system files and the public files, wherever they are, if you have access to them, if your level of permissions, your security level gives you access to these things, you have access to them as a typed command. With me? You get it. Alrighty. Using the editor. Okay, there's a couple of things to remember here. There's modes, there's all sorts of stuff. The most important thing to remember is this chapter is 125 pages long. However, we're already up to page 193 and we just opened up the chapter. That's because these things are not starting at page 1 from each PDF. They're starting from each previous chapter or whatever the case may be. I'm not even sure it starts at 1 from the beginning because we are up at chapter 7. I don't even know where this starts from. But that's why I broke them into sections like this so we could figure things out. So even though it's 125 pages, I'm still at page 193 as far as the chapter itself. This little diagram here tells us the process we go through to get the editor up and running, how to do what we need to do, and then get out of it. So the go prompt, every time you see that go prompt, it means that command blinker down there says, do what you want. Give me a command and I'll do it. Go, more or less. Some say ready. Some other operating systems say ready. Some don't say anything. You're just sitting there. Some just have a blinking asterisk. Fortunately, Music SP says go. Okay. Edit file name. Edit is the command that we're going to use to edit a file. And then there's two modes. You have an input mode and a command mode. And you'll see how they work. And the input mode is F11 and the command mode is F12. You can just use your function keys. You don't need to go up to keypad to do them. Your function keys should work just fine. Today, what I want to do is I want to actually edit this file right here, 15 hello there txt. So I'm down here in the blinking cursor, and I type in edit, and then space the file name, hello there, .txt. Now, if you wanted to create a brand new file, all you would have to do is say edit, the name of the file. You can have any combination. You could have .txt, .nothing. It doesn't matter what you put in there, up to a certain extent, I guess. And then a space and then the operator new, or the argument new. And it would say, okay, this is a new file. I'm going to create one from scratch that didn't exist before. But in our case right here, we're going to edit one that's already existing. So hello there.txt, I press the enter key and... All right, I am in a file called hello there.txt. I've already put in a bunch of stuff. So I could start to change that if I wanted to. And to do that, I can use my F11 and F12 keys to get out of the different modes. So right now I'm in the command line mode. So if I press F11, that takes me up to the top. If I press F12. So what I want to do here is I'm going to locate my cursor up to the top of the file. And press F11. And that, you see that? That's where it's going to start me, wherever it was. So I can do a couple things. I can use my arrow keys. Your arrow keys will work, by the way. And if I locate it right there, I get nothing below it. You with me so far? If I locate it right at the bottom, let's see what happens here. I get them all. So that's why it can get a little confusing at first. The trick is to know that your arrow keys work. Your arrow keys on your keyboard will move you around in the input mode, which you can see right down here at the bottom. If I press F12, it takes me to the command mode, and I can put in commands like save or quit and things like that. If I move up here and I move somewhere else, like say the second line down and press 11, that's what I'm going to get. I'm not going to get anything below that. So don't get confused if you see that, because it's not intuitive. Such is the world of mainframe editors. All right. So for right now, I'm just going to use my arrow keys to move all over the screen. If I just press enter on top of a line, it's going to tell me that's your active line. Everything else is going to be pretty much in reference to that line you started with. All right, hang in here now. I'm going to move down to the bottom, and I'm going to press F11 to give me the full page. Only the green lines are active. The blue lines are not active. I got a lot of real estate to work in, but these lines down here are not active. They won't take a command. Over here in the manual, I want to scroll down a bit. Now, bear with me. Don't get dizzy here with all the scrolling. I need to get to a particular page that will make things, and you'll see here real quick. Moving the cursor. Yeah, your arrow keys do the job. So does your up and down, your F8, your F7. Okay, almost there. Right here. Right there. On page 210 in the actual manual, and page 1, what is that? Page 1, page 22 of the PDF. Love that. Nope, I'm sorry. Oh, nope. My apologies. Page 2, 212 and page 24 of the PDF are these commands here, and these are your input commands. They're prefix commands, as they're called. This is called the prefix over here. These equal signs, these 4 equal signs, are the prefix of that line of text. And why that's interesting is because in the IBM MVS version of an editor, in the Productivity Facility ISPF, you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see a series of lines prior to the text. And it's within those lines, that little bar of lines, that you can put in these kinds of input commands, these prefix commands, as they're called. So, for instance, right here, it says I and then N. I being the command, N being the number of lines, or the number that you want that command to do. So if I come over here and I move this around anywhere I like, and I put in I5, watch what happens. It gives me 5 extra lines. It says you've just input 5 lines, nice and blank. Say vid 7 is next. Okay, I'm going to type in vid 8 is upcoming. I'm on that line, so it's red. Press the enter key, and then press F12 will take me down to the command prompt if that's where I want to be. If I don't want to be there, I can go back up again to here. I could even go right there, press F11, and she says, all right, you're back to editing. You don't have to press F11. As long as you're in that area, you can edit. But let's say I don't want these lines now. I'm not going to type anything more. I'm lazy. I can put in D, and each D will take out a line. Or I can put in D3, and she'll take out 3 lines. So all that's happening here is this area is reserved for these prefix commands, which lets you do things in the editor that, are editing commands, not file commands, not these kinds of things. Editor commands, manipulating the text inside of there. So if you understand how these work, you'll find that this is less mystifying. Hopefully that's not too confusing. Okay. So now what I can do, and by the way, if you should find that you need more information, this helps all the time, the F1 key. And it takes you over to your help facility. So if I want to see what the editor commands are, I can just move to line number 3, press the enter key. I can move my keyboard around, go down to topics. And here's all the different topics. Let's say that I wanted to, find out what add means. Press on that. All right, add a string. The command adds a string after the last non-blank character of the first line. Great. Or the current line. Fine dandy. F3, the universal get out of Dodge, backs you out, backs to the editor, and now you're back in the editor. Press F12, takes you to the command prompt, and then in this 125 pages of stuff, there are all the commands you could possibly want, and I mean a boatload of them, and then spelled out in infinite detail, which is, I think you can see why I'm not going to try to go through infinite detail. These are the things that occur at the command prompt. These are the things that occur at the, hang on, bum, 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 bum. These are the prefix commands that occur in the prefix lines in front of each line of text. Hopefully that's not too confusing. Once you get used to it, it's actually pretty powerful and pretty comprehensive. I don't like the idea of using a local notepad or something then moving the file into music. I think that's cheating. But some people like to do that. What can you do? Okay, we're currently in the command prompt. If I type in save, it says, well, there you go. You've added some stuff. You've added a line. I replaced hello there.txt with what's in that new line you added, that everything is in there. That's great. What do you want to do now? Well, I want to get out. I want to quit. I press F3, and it takes me back to the go prompt. All right. What do I do to print this now? How do I get this thing onto a piece of paper, as it were? Well, it's interestingly tricky, believe it or not. I'm going to try to explain this without the best of my abilities. There seems to be a bit of a problem with Sim390 and the print queue. And Dave Edwards, who created this thing, he knew this. He knew that there were a lot of times, or at least reported, that a print job would be entered and it would never come out. It would never actually get into the printout stage. Somehow or another, the print queue would say, well, you're not a high enough priority. I'm not going to do anything until you get there. And even though you said, well, the system printer is defined in the Sim390 configuration file, and it's called system. I mean, that's what it's referred to as in when you're referring to it. Remember, in this environment, a mainframe environment, you can print your jobs to wherever you are allowed to. Maybe you can print to the one in the printer in the data center. Maybe you can print to the printer in the library. Who knows? Wherever you are personally allowed to print to is defined by whoever created your account. But the system file, the system printer, is the main printer that's defined for this installation. And it wasn't working. So what Dave created was a rex file, a batch file called printbat. And printbat will kick your print job in such a way that it will get printed out the way it should. The printbat file, it's just printbat, watch, printbat, printbat space the name of the file. If you don't remember the name of the file, all you have to do is just type in dir, and in this case here, it's going to be hello there.txt. Printbat, which is a system file. It's in a subdirectory called $PGM for programs, and it's available to anybody who has that access, even though you don't see it in your list. Printbat will then kick this thing out. And what it will do is it will kick it out to a file that is inside of your directory of folders that are on your PC, not in music, on your PC that you downloaded and created a little world for. Printout.txt is where all this stuff goes to. So if I type in printbat and then the name of the file I want to print, hello there.txt, I press that, it says, okay, in progress. Yes, I've done that. 6 records submitted to music, route to system. So it was routing the job to the system printer. It took care of the job by elevating from what I can see it's a privilege and it's a priority. And it kicked out. And it says, yep, I printed it. How do we know? Well, in my browser, I linked the file. So if you notice this here, it just says file to the printout.txt that's in my C drive. So I'm just using the browser to look at a file in my C drive. And if I refresh that, there it is. So this thing actually did its job. It sent the output to the system printer which is emulated by a text file called printout.txt. And here's all the fun stuff. Now, if you ever worked in a place where they had a data center, you actually had all this information. Sometimes it was on paper with a white and green bands, and they gave you all the information of knowing this was your job. If you had an actual program, I don't know, a PL1 or a COBOL or something like that, it would have the output of whatever the program was supposed to do. And it would tell whoever was looking at it, oh, this belongs to this guy and it's this and blah, 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 and how much time it took and how many cards were read, because a lot of these things are based upon how many characters you could get on an IBM punch card, which was 80. So there it is. That's it. That's how it works. You kind of come full circle in a sense. You figured out how to think about the file system. You now know a little bit about how the editor works. You can learn more about it by applying what you see in the reference manual. And now you can find out how to print something and get around this seeming limitation that even Dave Edwards was aware of, where sometimes music in this environment, I think it's only in this environment, where music won't kick the job into the queue, won't kick it out of the queue, because there's just something in the programming, and Dave figured it out and gave us this little batch file. And then it prints it out into a document, into a printout.txt file. And if I did it again, and I won't do it right now, because sometimes it hangs because it doesn't realize that the printout.txt file is closed and available because this goofy browser has it open. It's just the weirdest thing. It'll append. It'll create another set of lines just like this, and it'll keep on going until you go in there and manually clean it out. There's also an option in the configuration file to take append out, and it will overwrite every job before it, so you don't get everybody else's stuff before yours. You're just your stuff. Gosh, I hope this was clear. It's a lot to know. But I think it's actually very, very interesting that we've kind of gotten to a point now we've actually done something productive with this thing, more or less. We've created a file. We can edit the file. We can print the file. We can log in. We understand how the directories work based upon who you are. We now know that there are local directories that are just yours in the private directories, and there are files. And then we also know that there are system files, which are akin to things that are in DOS's path, or things that are in maybe bin or sbin if you're into the whole Linux thing. And that gives you kind of a whole operating system. A whole lot more to learn, obviously, but I think this is a unifier. It's a unifying video, I hope. Okay, not sure when we'll do the next one. Probably next week sometime. I'll put it in the description on my video, YouTube video. And hopefully we're still having fun. I'm enjoying it. Please keep the comments coming, and thank you for all the positive reinforcement and encouragement. It's been great, and we'll go from there. Please subscribe. I appreciate it, and that's it for this one. Bye for now.